Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here. I have heard that the mayor will be walking in right now.
Y'all keep your seats.
Good morning. Thank you for your patience, and I know it's a little warm in here. My name is Elena Cahill. I am a professor here at the university and the director of Bauer Hall, which is the room in the building that we're in right now. On behalf of the University of Bridgeport community, it is my honor to welcome each and every one of you to the Bauer Hall Innovation Center. We are delighted to host this press conference to highlight how the city of Bridgeport will affect the impact of COVID through two programs, the Innovative Workforce Development Program and wraparound services for those in need of a second chance. The University of Bridgeport is proud to champion both of these initiatives as we move into a new phase of our impact and involvement in our community. On behalf of the University of Bridgeport, welcome to Bauer Hall and congratulations to all of the awardees.
All right, good morning, everybody. How are you? Yeah, are we excited? All right. My name's Tom Gaudette. I work in the mayor's office, and we're very excited that all of you are able to join us. We're way, way over capacity. That's how excited everybody is. So, as we call all of the grant winners and we've gone through this process, one thing that we've heard from everybody is that it's been a long year and a half with COVID-19. And we've had businesses that have struggled. Some have closed. People have been laid off. We've had people struggling to provide for their families. We've had youth that have not been able to be in school or not had certain educational opportunities and after-school activities. So a lot has happened in the last year and a half. And Congress stepped in March of this year and said that we need to do something and made a major investment by passing the American Rescue Plan Act. And as part of that act, among many other things, they invested in our cities. They gave the city of Bridgeport $110 million invested in cities all across America to try to address the economic impacts of COVID-19. And that's why we're here today. So, as promised, the city of Bridgeport got right to work because the whole intent is to get things going immediately and to address this problem. So we did. The city council acted quickly to accept the grant. We immediately went into a public input process because we wanted to hear from our community about what the most important priorities were. And among them, we identified second chance and workforce development, among many others. We actually had 13 different RFPs that the city of Bridgeport released in August, 2 of which were small business assistance grants, and the other 11 were nonprofit grants. We assembled committees because we thought, let's just not take in a bunch of applications. Let's have a strong public process that's open, that's public, that has members, not just of city staff and city council members, but stakeholders and members of the community. Very diverse committees. 78 different people took part in that process and vetted the applications, and ultimately that led us to where we are today, where we have, we're issuing 2 of our largest grants today, a total of $10.3 million. Which $10.3 million. And of that, we have $5.9 million. Don't read the signs. Actually, 5.9. There's an error on there for workforce development in the city of Bridgeport, and $4.4 million for second chance reentry programs because we are trying to address the needs of the most vulnerable in our community. So, we'd like to hear from a couple of the winners today and hear from some of our committee members. I first want to congratulate all of the winners. Thank you for applying and being part of this process. Really, we're just administering a grant. You are doing all of the work in the community, and we appreciate everything that you do. So thank you very much. I want to thank all of the members of the committees that participated in this process. They took this very seriously. They vetted all of the applicants. Many of them did interviews with the applicants. And it took many, many weeks. People invested their time and energy into this process. So I want to thank them very much. And of course, I want to thank the city staff that made this happen. All of you that participate in this process know that without Nika and Constance and other people that work for the city, this never would have happened. So thank you very much for everything they did. So. Okay, so in no particular order, let's hear from one of our committee members. From the Workforce Development Committee, we have Councilman Marcus Brown.
All right.
right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's give it up for our city staff. They really did work tirelessly on all this effort. Tom Gaudette, Constance Vickers, Small Minority Business Office Reggie, Nika Olafson, and everyone else who played a part in this. My name is Marcus Brown. I'm a city councilman from the beautiful, historic 132nd District. That sign says 5.5 because the other 0.4 went to making that sign, just so everyone knows. I was told when I got up here not to be too smart, not to be too funny, not to be too witty. They said, just be yourself. I took offense to that. But in all seriousness, I'm so excited about being here today. We've never had an opportunity like we're having right now where we're able to help out so many people in desperate need of help due to COVID and due to other situations in people's lives. And workforce development and second chance opportunities, they really tie in together because to reduce recidivism in any community, what it takes is a job, and not just any job, a good paying job, a job with security to make sure that you can make sure that you don't have to do the things you need to do to support your family. So I'm excited about the awardees. There are some really unique opportunities that some of these applicants put in. For example, Nourish Bridgeport, who will be speaking later today. I won't get into the details. Hopefully, Reverend Sarah will, but we wanted to look for other opportunities, some of them that we've seen in the past where job training has been so traditional, but unique opportunities because jobs today are not the jobs of yesterday. So we need to prepare the city of Bridgeport and its residents for those jobs. And I'm excited that we have that opportunity to do it with this money. And I look forward to the work that they'll do on our behalf. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have a member of the Second Chance Committee, which was probably our most exciting committee. They thought every meeting was a party. From GBAP, Reverend Nancy Kingwood.
All right.
Good morning, good morning. I, along with my colleagues on the review committee, are excited to share in this press conference this morning. Under the leadership of Mayor Ganim and his dedicated staff, we are pleased to announce and celebrate with the grantees of the Second Chance category. I can assure you, and Tom had already said it, that these applications were thoroughly vetted and they were given special and attentive consideration. It was not an easy process. The reviewers were committed to the process nonetheless and contributed their time to ensure fairness and equity. The grantees are established businesses in the city of Bridgeport and are invested in the care and the well-being of its residents affected by the criminal justice system, whereby we can offer second chances. They are committed to doing the work. This funding will provide much-needed services ranging from housing, case management, to mentoring services. There's an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. We can use that same concept with this targeted community. It takes a community. It takes a community coming together on one accord. I'm not preaching, but it takes on one accord to provide services to those that need it the most. Synergy exists when the whole accomplishes more than just its sum of its parts. We are stronger and better together as a community. So thank you.
Okay, now, as you all know, Second Chance is a very important priority in the mayor's office, and the mayor years ago established the mayor's office for reentry affairs, and so we have with us today to speak also a member of our committee, Earl Bloodworth.
Hello and thank you, everyone. And this is like the third time I had to follow Reverend Kingwood. Never easy. But I came here just over 2 years ago to work in Second Chance and Reentry under the Mayor's Initiative and Reentry Affairs under the leadership of Mayor Ganim. And I had these really grandiose ideals about what that vision looked like, along with aligning that with the vision that the mayor has. And in my mind, I thought the stuff that I was envisioning wouldn't take place for another 5-6 years. But due to the impact of COVID and other things, we have an opportunity to transform reentry in the city of Bridgeport and become a nationwide, if not international, beacon of hope for those who are seeking second chances and many of those who never had a first chance. And so with the leadership of Dr. Gaston and Mayor Ganim, we put together this panel, and we have a great amount of talent and individuals and agencies that are going to be working and understand the basic needs and dignity that is required to service this population. And that's what we're looking forward to doing. Thank you.
Okay, next we have, let's get to some of our awardees. So we have today with us the president of the University of Bridgeport, Danielle Wilkin. As you know from the list, UB actually won both awards, and they're doing really great work around this. So why don't we have the president come on up?
Good morning, and thank you for being here. Thank you to Mayor Ganim and all of his staff that made today's announcement possible, and for choosing UB as the spot to make these announcements. We are thrilled to share all this good news with you here at the Bauer Center for Innovation. I would like to take this time to acknowledge George and Carol Bauer, who are here with us today, who made this beautiful building possible. It serves not only as the home for innovation at UB, but also as a resource to drive economic growth for the Bridgeport community. UB is proud to partner with Bridgeport and help in the recovery of COVID and all of the impacts it has had on our communities. We are honored to have been awarded $1.5 million to support businesses and, more importantly, the residents of Bridgeport, and we have big plans. UB is both an independent institution as well as a part of the Goodwin family, and we have a long history of working with communities and industry partners on similar projects. These programs have been extremely successful in boosting our local economies, supporting businesses, providing residents with the skills they need to build successful careers, and serve their families and communities. We will use these grants to fund 3 programs here at Bridgeport: the Bridgeport Accelerator Program, Pride, or People Reentering Doing Entrepreneurship, and the Entrepreneurial Network, or also known as ENET. Through the Bridgeport Community Accelerator programs, residents who want to jumpstart their recently developed businesses will have access to resources right here in the Bauer Center. In addition to the mentorship from our amazing faculty and staff, they'll be provided with beautiful workspace, technology, intellectual property, and legal services, and much more. They will be eligible for mini grants to help them execute their business plans and bring their dreams of building their own business to life. The Pride program will be based on an already successful community program founded in Bridgeport for formerly incarcerated individuals. This 18-week program provides mentorship and lessons in the fundamentals such as banking, insurance, sales, to ensure participants have the skills they need to start a business. We know this program works. Of the students enrolled in Pride, 80% graduate and 60% have opened up businesses within their first 3 years. The ENET program will offer a chance for Pride participants to continue their education. It is a certificate program in small business and a highly successful program at Goodwin University. Again, a program we know that works. More than 70% of the students who are enrolled in the Goodwin's ENET program have completed it, filed LLCs, and obtained seed money to launch and expand their businesses. I've watched them do their pitches, and they're amazing, and you will be inspired. Because we have experience in these programs, we can quickly ramp these up and start and serving our communities immediately. Thank you so much for being here.
Okay, next up we have from the Women Against Mass Incarceration organization, Mary Valdivino. Is Mary with us?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. First and foremost, we want to thank the American Rescue Plan Second Chance Committee, Mayor Ganim, and the City of Bridgeport for this tremendous opportunity. We are immensely grateful. Women Against Mass Incarceration is a grassroots nonprofit built on a decarceration framework, striving to ultimately end the incarceration issue that plagues our nation. We work by reorganizing women and girls to reimagine and rebuild our communities, aiming to change the negative impacts imposed upon families by the criminal legal system. As an expansion grant, this will aid in building out our base with more staffing as we seek to broaden our community efforts, specifically with families impacted by poverty and incarceration. In the past year alone, we have been able to provide our communities through donations of school supplies, holiday food and gift drives, and hosting COVID vaccination sites, while also providing essential PPE to our sisters at York Correctional Institution. This funding will support us in continuing such works. Additionally, this grant will allow us to serve more families through larger community events, while continuing our efforts to organize and aid our community during COVID. Finally, Women Against Mass Incarceration is also excited to expand our programming to include women living with violent convictions, a project of passion created in the vision of our founder and executive director, Tahiba Bain. Once more, we want to thank you for most graciously the opportunity to move onward and upward as we envision and expand our future in Bridgeport. Thank you very much.
All right, before we get to Reverend Sarah, we have a change in the program. Ernie doesn't know how to stick with the program. We are going to ask for Scott Wilderman to come up because they have a very unique application that they put in on opening a welcoming center in the city of Bridgeport. So why don't you come up and talk about that for a second?
All right.
I asked Jennifer to join me as well. Ernie, thank you, by the way, for altering the program. As I got to tell you, re-entry here, in Bridgeport has to be really excited about this grant. More importantly, because re-entry started here in the city of Bridgeport. Right. Nearly 17 years ago, several organizations came together, right, Fred? That's right. You know, it was family re-entry, good old Steve Lanza. We had Council of Churches, Dan Braccio, who helped out, RIASAP. And we all got together and we started doing some strategy. Because you know what happened at that time? You remember what happened in that community? What was going on? Cheshire. Anybody remember what happened in Cheshire? Yes. Right? They were locking people up and throwing away the key. And we decided as a community we could not allow that to happen. So we got together and we started strategizing. But the first thing we ended up doing is listening. We didn't plan. We listened to what was happening with individuals coming out of incarceration. We made them part of the solution. And we're so proud of that because of today, we have now expanded not only the Bridgeport Reentry Collaborative, but now it's become a statewide initiative. And actually, there's great leaders here in this community, leaders like Rosa J. Correa and others who actually helped change some policies locally. And more importantly, the vision that the mayor had with the Mayor's Initiative for Reentry and hiring the great Earl Bloodworth behind me to oversee that has really impacted where we're going right now in reentry in the city of Bridgeport. But we're not finished. There's a lot more that needs to be done. And as a result, as was said earlier, we know this takes a village. And we all have to welcome people back, make them feel part of a community. And one way to do that is to make some non-traditional linkages and link with other organizations and create what's called a welcome center. Now, there are welcome centers across the state of Connecticut. People coming directly out of incarceration, being dropped off at these centers, and then the centers kind of triage those range of services. There is not one in Bridgeport until today. Considering that we are the leaders in reentry, we can now establish ourselves and create the best, and I got to tell you, it's going to be the best welcome center in the city and across the state of Connecticut and in the country. And we did that in partnership with the Recovery Network of Programs. And I'd like to ask Jennifer to kind of come up and talk also about her vision about how this program will work.
Good morning. Thank you. We are so thrilled to be here. I'm Jen Kulikowski, CEO of Recovery Network of Programs. We are going to be expanding and enhancing the services we provide at one of our outpatient clinics that is called the J. Brothers Unified Resource Center. We have been serving individuals by providing mental health and substance use disorder treatment for over 5 years, largely specializing in treatment for individuals who are returning to our communities after incarceration. So with this new partnership, which we are so thrilled to be doing in collaboration with Career Resources, we will be expanding our hours, expanding our services, our treatment modalities, and a lot of outreach and removing barriers to care for these individuals, ensuring their success as they return to the communities. Thank you.
And just one last, Ernie, who do you want to go next?
Please. Don't give Ernie the mic. Okay. Okay, and now we have one of our winners from the workforce development pot of money that we thought was a little interesting, very different take on workforce development. I'd like to ask for Reverend Sarah Smith from Nourish Bridgeport to come up and speak.
Good morning, or no, we're still morning. My name is Reverend Sarah Smith. I'm president and CEO of Nourish Bridgeport, Inc., and I'm so honored to be with you today. And Mayor, thank you for all your help. I worked and grew up on my family's 1,000-acre farm in the heart of the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, which is why I sound funny. We had the privilege, my daddy and I, of caring for an abundance of crops and good soil, rich with nutrients and promise. When I arrived in Bridgeport 12 years ago, I took in a different landscape. One of need, contaminated land, lack of access to healthy food. Now, there were very helpful Band-Aids of food distribution. We have some of the best pantries ever for the most needy in our area. And yet, they're only Band-Aids to a bigger problem, which is how to get fresh, healthy food to those who are most vulnerable. As senior minister of United Congregational Church of Bridgeport, I led the drive to create community garden space at our previous building, which is now Bix at 877 Park Avenue. We brought some life through the concrete, but it wasn't enough. Then we founded Nourish Bridgeport in 2010, food-centered, volunteer-powered, community-anchored 501c3 charity. We have programs, and they're fabulous. The food pantry that distributes 10,000 pounds of food each week to 1,000 individuals. We are the grocery for our food desert neighborhood. But by providing groceries, we let our neighbors stay in their housing and pay their rent. It prevents homelessness. We have a baby center where we feed them formula and diapers, because you know those two go together. Each week, we have English classes for our immigrants and refugees. We have hot meals to our neighbors. But all of these programs are wonderful, but they're not enough. They're not changing the needle. We try to give healthy food to our hungry neighbors. Do you know how hard it is to get fresh produce through the Connecticut Food Bank? It's wonderful, but you get potatoes, onions, and carrots, and that's about it. That's it. And that's not just in winter, that's in summer too. We want to fill our neighbors' bellies, but not with unhealthy food. We want to give them good starts, right? Not a false start. So Nourish Bridgeport wants to bring about transformative change to the food deserts of Bridgeport. So we are developing the first nonprofit indoor vertical hydroponic farm in the whole state of Connecticut. Our goal is to grow healthy, fresh food in a food desert. That's what we need to do. And to do that, we're going to give people a skill and a job and a paycheck to do it. All right. Now, our indoor farm, this is what you got to kind of wrap your brain around. It's in a 5,000 square feet warehouse, and it's equivalent to 6 acres worth of land. We're going to seed, sprout, grow, harvest, and distribute 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all with water and light and no dirt. All right. We've already hired our farm manager, Leslie Abello, who's a nutritionist. Woohoo! We've hired our first farm hand. We're going to have several of those. We're going to employ a marketing director and other farm hands, and we've given 3 contracting companies contracts to transform the warehouse into a working farm. We're giving jobs while we feed people. That's the point. We're planning on using 3 growing methods, the MetroCrop microgreen rigs that were developed here in Bridgeport by Bridgeport engineers, Steve and Nancy Domion, and that we are eternally grateful. We got a freight container farm that's arriving in 2 weeks, built just for us. I sort of want to move in. It's so nice and new, but that's not the point. We're going to have fork farm pods. We may take new directions as we learn. Our mission is to get healthy, fresh produce to the people in need in Bridgeport. And here's how we're going to do it. We're going to be the farmer at the 7 farmers markets, because this is the deal about Bridgeport farmers markets. They're amazing. But we can't get the Connecticut farmers to come into the city because they can make more money in New Canaan and Wilton. Good for them. Meanwhile, we've got people, so we're going to be the farmer, and we can get fresh veggies into the hands of our EBT and our SNAP participants, and they can then double that. That's how we're going to distribute. We're also going to give our fresh produce to our fellow local food pantries. So that way, all winter long, we'll have fresh veggies for the people who most need them. And this is what I want to say in the end. Addressing food insecurity and food scarcity is not new to Nourish. It's not new to Bridgeport. But indoor hydroponic farming is. It is the future. It is innovative, and frankly, it's a little scary. But with this American Rescue Plan grant, but that the mayor and his staff, and this, my new buddy right there, we have the opportunity to make transformative change in the food system at Bridgeport, and we're going to give residents a skill, a job, a paycheck, a purpose, and guess what? That brings them dignity. That's right. So thank you, City of Bridgeport. Thank you for believing in us, for supporting something new and kind of crazy sounding, for being willing to think outside the box, because together we're going to nourish our Bridgeport. Thank you so much.
We knew Reverend Sarah was going to be excited. Okay, so listen, I'm looking out at the room and I see Fred and other people who are giants in workforce development at Second Chance, but we got to keep the show going. So let's hear from some of our elected officials that also made this happen. Let's start with our council president, Heidi Nieves.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you all today in making these announcements. I think a lot of the work that has been done is partially part of the council, which I have some of the members here. Ernie, Marcus, my other budget co-chair, Scott Burns, and a few other council members who took a real serious interest in what this ARP money was going to mean to the city of Bridgeport. And in passing that resolution to accept the funds, there were a few demands on behalf of the council. And I think the mayor and his staff understood the messaging that was coming across. The message was we needed to make sure that the money got to, and the programming that we were going to be funding was going to go directly and deliberately into the communities where we're socially vulnerable. We wanted to make sure that it was going to be a game changer for the city of Bridgeport. We wanted to make sure that funds and transparency and everybody being at the table was going to be part of this process, which speaks to some of the things that were brought up today and lifted out in the conversations of my previous speakers. Nancy Kingwood mentioned the village and synergizing. What this means with workforce development and second chance reentry is re-synergizing those communities that are impacted with the plague of our residents who can't get affordable jobs to change generational wealth and being able to change the future of their families. We're talking about synergizing small businesses, education with UB, with workforce development, with the Welcoming Center, synergizing the need and making sure that somebody along the way is watching and willing to support and guiding you along where you need to be. That's the synergy I've been telling the mayor about that we needed to have in this city. Innovation and transformation. What we just heard about Nourish, feeding our community. It's not just about putting things out there, having funding available, about feeding our community and establishing healthy eating practices, because we've all seen what COVID has lifted up in our community and has exacerbated. All of those things, those four things are what's important to the future of the city of Bridgeport. I want to thank my council members who are here with me and those council members that are not here today that sat on some of these subcommittees. And especially, I want to say thank you to the mayor for listening when I was digging my heels in about who we're going to be having on these committees and how we were going to implement these processes, and listening, really listening. This is about listening and hearing what we thought was important, and that survey was really important. So I want to thank Constance Vickers for reaching out to Hartford, who had the survey, but they're nowhere near where the city of Bridgeport is. We're the first city in the state of Connecticut to be doing this, to be giving out our funds so fast, and that's an accomplishment in the hard work of the synergy, the commitment, the village, and the transformation of our community. So I want to thank all of you who applied. I want to thank all of you who are receiving this money. But no, there is going to be a level of accountability, because that's what the residents always ask us about. Where's the accountability? There are going to be systems put into place where we can help those organizations that need help, because that's what happens sometimes. As we we give out money through grants, people struggle, and that's not going to happen this time because it's going to impact us all. It's going to impact every single person, every single neighborhood. So again, thank you. Thank you to everyone who participated, and know that we as the council will be working hard to make sure that everyone gets this information out there. I think this is the first of many press conferences we're going to be having about the funding that's coming out. So again, I want to thank the mayor for listening, to the council for listening to our opinions, for putting Tom and Constance and Nika on the forefront of this project, because they did do a lot of work, and the small minority business office, who I want to say listened to me griping and screaming about, we need to get people on the ground pushing this out there, small businesses, and he did. And I thank you, Fred, for that, because that's what it's about. It's about listening, coming together, and putting the community at the table. So your voices were heard. Thank you again, and hopefully we will see a new Bridgeport in the future. Transformation, synergy, and the village working together. Thank you.
All right. And last, before we get to the mayor, we want to hear from Ernie Newton. Less than 5 minutes, Ernie.
Seniority does have its privileges. Let me say that this is an exciting day for the city of Bridgeport. Out of all the towns and cities that got money, Bridgeport is the first city that put the money in the hands of the people that are going to service the people that need the help. Now, let me just say this. We're going to hold y'all accountable. Just like you hold me accountable, we're going to hold you accountable, because you have a tremendous opportunity to help those who can't help themselves. So you have a responsibility. I want to thank the mayor and the city council, because we made it clear that we wanted to put the money in the hands of the people who don't get a second chance or a first chance or a third chance. That's where we wanted to put the money. So we put the money in your hands. And all I hope is that we will have success stories throughout this city, that young people are going to college, that young people are getting second chances. And let me say this, whoever comes to you said there's nothing for our young people, you need to educate them on the things that are going on with your programs, because your programs will save lives. So I'm excited. I'm glad to see the mayor, since he's got a lot of jokes. And I know he's ready to say some jokes. The next person will be the mayor of our city, Mayor Ganim.
I don't know. I was going to hold back after Marcus tried a couple and they went flat. But I am feeling pretty good, as I'm sure is everyone that's here and will in the future, because of the impact of what we're announcing today. UB, thank you for hosting us and then being a partner on the city's future and an impact of so many residents. To every organization that is here, and we're going to be, as I think Heidi said, making these announcements with other organizations, with the other committees over the next at least week or so. I just want to repeat it again. It's humbly that I thank so many people for coming together, seeing the challenge, recognizing it, stepping up. And as was said, it wasn't an easy process if you got an award. And if you didn't, it wasn't that there wasn't an effort there or a commitment. It was just that the best programs, the best opportunities, hopefully, were met by this. My limited kind of role in this, if I'm going to take credit for anything, and I found out being in and out of this for some 30 years, and Ernie's been at it even longer, as he likes to emphasize, and he looks it, right? A little worn and torn over the years. That, you know, anytime something kind of doesn't go perfect in the city, part of the job of mayor is to get blamed for it, right? Said the mayor, it's on his desk, he didn't sign it. Oh, why didn't they get that street sign up? And we can go on and on. And what I found a little bit of they say in physics, there's oftentimes an opposite and equal reaction, that sometimes when something good happens, or when extraordinary comings together, synergy was the word that was used and emphasized by you, Ani, where there's a synergy, unparalleled in my decades of this come together, somehow I'm getting more credit, frankly, than I deserve. I will take some credit for allowing or putting in place people like Tom Gaudette and Constance and all the city staff who really did I used the word earlier with a reporter, a remarkable job of focusing and then in executing, which are always difficult in any large organization, nonetheless, a city like Bridgeport. I want to give them another round of applause and extend that as we do to everyone who played a role in this and understand that this is transformational, potentially, for cities, urban centers like Bridgeport across the country. They've created an opportunity where, and I've said this, if I've played a role, it's been basically to put the guardrails out, if you will, and charting a course, and then from the ground up, hopefully, let this great vehicle of opportunity be driven by the community. But what I have said as a mantra, and I think Dr. Ford heard me when we were at a park, Newfield Park, where there was a shooting nearby. The answer no longer, at least for now, in local government, can't be no because we don't have the funds. The answer is yes, yes, yes. How do we get there? Partner with us, and we can now have the opportunity to meet some of the challenges that we just didn't have the resources for before. And I say this from the backdrop, Ernie and I can joke. I presided over periods of time where we were closing firehouses and seeing funds being cut for youth programs and fighting just for basic community development block grants. And now I want to thank those levels of government and the vision that understands that this challenge compounded maybe recently by events beyond our control that include mass and so on, that now there's an understanding to provide resources. And I think that we can take great pride in how fast, how efficient we've done this. I, as you know, partner with mayors at times from across the country and recently with mayors around the world, even in Glasgow this past week at the Climate Summit, which is critically important to all of us. But I think that we've demonstrated a better level of proficiency on this than I've seen with any other city. The process that I've kind of watched from a distance, and the deliberateness and the transparency was mentioned earlier, the feelings of enthusiasm, that I know you were going to start preaching too. She was going to start, Rev. I know she was. The understanding of transparency, Ernie's comments about being deliberate and then being accountable have come together in a way that I haven't seen in this city in a long time. So this is a great opportunity. To exactly what we're announcing today, workforce development. Over 5, you can 5.5, 5 point. We never had the point. It was usually maybe hundreds of that. Whatever it is the largest commitment to workforce development that I know in the history of the city, and I'm thanking you for partnering with us to make it happen in the city of Bridgeport. And to support and create the opportunity for jobs. If it wasn't said, it's worth saying again, and give me my extra minutes here. There's no greater program or opportunity or social program that we can provide than a job, at least an opportunity for a job. And the side that's never been talked about before, really to the level it is now, and in this city especially, is second chance opportunities. And you know, when I kind of stumbled back into office, certainly as none of us are proud of a fall or a flaw or mistakes or things we've done wrong, I do take, and Ernie does and others do too, take special pride maybe now in the profile that we provide for creating with substance opportunities and really making a commitment to second chance. Almost $5 million, the largest that I know of any community this size, providing for second chance opportunities by good organizations that can make it happen for individuals. I think we should give a round of applause to all that have kind of partnered on this. Earl has done a great job at leading the department. Let's keep it going. I know I've missed many, but I just want to say thanks again. Lastly, this was, as I say, the community coming together is even bigger. But the politics kind of either being put aside or for the first time, and maybe the only time in 2 years, Heidi, that we had a unanimous vote in the city council on anything. And Tom Gaudette was telling me that when we came through. And I don't know, maybe it was because we were arguing street signs over here and we didn't realize $110 million was going to be done over here. But it was unanimous. And by the way, I'll leave with this. And this is not at you, Ernie. Politics in Bridgeport can be kind of a brass knuckles sport, and I say that affectionately. I mean, even when you're working with people, sometimes you never know what's going to happen. I want to thank the City Council, and especially Heidi Nieves, our Council President, for the steadfast leadership and commitment you've made over the past couple of years. But I got to tell you, as close as we are working together, Dr. Ford, she was in a tough primary, and I was out helping her. And you know, if something happens to the mayor, the Council President becomes the mayor. And she figured, well, if she wins the primary, she's okay. If she loses the primary, a car goes speeding by, and I feel somebody kind of pushing me out off the curb. I turned back. Heidi, did you bump into me? She said, no. She said, I wanted to cover my bet. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. I still got a spot. Thank you, everyone. Let me give it back to Tom Gaudette.
All right, I'll make a final note at the end, but let's have State Representative Antonio Felipe, who also serves as the community liaison for the UB, come up and say thank you.
Everybody was a hard act to follow, so let's see how this goes. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm happy to be here at the University of Bridgeport. Congratulations again, President Wilkin and everybody who applied here. Congratulations to all the people who applied for our reentry as well. This is a great opportunity. I want to first start by thanking the City of Bridgeport, Constance Vickers, Nika Olofsson, and Tom Gaudette, but not only for their hard work in putting this all together as we've gone along, but for the process itself. I think it makes a lot of difference when you have 78 different individuals deciding where this money goes. They understand the plight of our communities. There's council people. I served as a state rep. There are some people from the community that just, all they do is live to serve. And now they see people who are most at need, and they put it right in their hands. And it also led to innovation. It's fitting that we're in the Innovation Center, and we have ideas like Scott's Welcoming Center, like Reverend Sarah's farming idea. And I see an ecosystem in that. Fred's going to get people home. Kim Fawcett, who I saw earlier, Bridgeport Rescue Mission, is going to get them somewhere to have a roof over their heads. Scott's going to get them employed and make sure they can put a table in that home. And then Sarah's going to put food on it. And once that's all done with, thank you. Once that's all done with, they can come right here and get job training and higher education right from the University of Bridgeport. And I think that's critically important. I think we're all coming together at a time where if the city would have went through a regular process like other cities did and decided themselves, we would have recovered. I believe that 100%. But now we can do better than that. We can do better than recover. We can make sure that our people re-entering are actually getting a fair shake, that recidivism is going down, that they are being a part of our community as they can be. And I'm going to share with you somebody who has a story that we can all get behind, a story that is still in progress. But behind me to my right is Virgilio Rosario, who came home this year. He's a proud father, a proud grandfather, an advocate in our city already, being home less than a year, and a student at the University of Bridgeport, making sure that he's pushing himself forward. And with the 4.4 over there and the 5.9 over there, we're going to make sure that there are many more stories in the city of Bridgeport just like that one. Thank you.
All right. Because I'm in charge, we're going to call one more audible, and we're going to have Fred Hodges come up and say,
Oh, man, good morning, everybody. It's really a great day in Bridgeport to be here, to be up here. As me being one with lived experiences and living in Bridgeport majority of my life, and I just want to thank the mayor and the city council for the American Rescue Mission and Second Chance, because we don't even understand the magnitude of what this is going to do for the people who's coming home who were formerly incarcerated, as well as people inside. Because we've always done a pre-release here at Family Reentry. I've been working for Family Reentry for the last 12 years. We started off going into the prison, because reentry doesn't start when the person comes home. Reentry starts when the person goes in. And we've been fortunate enough to go in for the last 12 years, and now with the things that we have on the outside on the post-relief services, I can't tell you enough how much I'm thankful for this here plan. Now, one of the things we didn't talk about was housing. There's many different layers of DOC, and one of the layers of DOC, our program, Family Reentry Enterprise House, was on 530 West Avenue for the last 12 years. We weren't a community release, we were a parole house. Forget all the statistics and all that stuff and going about that there. But what it is, it was a house that people came home to that 85% of the people that came to our house on parole went out onto independent living. We lost that contract in June. With the American Rescue Act and the mayor and the city council, we was able to get the grant again to bring that house back up again and for people that are coming back home. Housing is very important. I know we talked about jobs, we talked about workforce, but housing is also important. If a person doesn't feel comfortable where they're staying, they're not going to feel comfortable where they're working. So it goes hand in hand. I'd like to thank the city council, thanks to people here, and I look forward to the work and the continuing reentry. Thank you very much.
All right, so as a final note, for those of you that like to take pictures, I understand we have a big check. And what we'll do is, I think, guys, we'll go out on the front porch. For anyone that wants to be a part of it, go out on the front porch and take a picture with the mayor. And I just want to say everyone should get out of here and keep going to, do what you do best, put people to work, and help people re-entering to our community. We need it very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.